Last week, I spoke about why collaborations beat competition every time and how working together can actually help you grow faster and with more joy. Have you been in the mindset that anyone that has a similar business model as yours is competition? Well, I'm here to talk to you about how there's enough love to go around and we can grow faster together. So go give that one a listen if you guys are feeling like that. Now, in this week's episode, I'll be interviewing Christina from the Turn Leg. She is a fellow Midwesterner who loves to rescue and upcycle, has a vendor booth, and loves teaching others how to repurpose. So I cannot wait to dive into this episode today.
Welcome to the Rescued and Upcycled podcast with weekly inspiration, tips on trying new techniques, and overall, real talk about owning your own DIY business. Now, here's your host, Sonnet Ullenbrock.
Welcome back to Rescued and Upcycled. I'm your host, Sonnet Ullenbrock. I want to thank you guys all for joining me today on my podcast. If you are new here, I do interview creatives and other small business owners. I love talking about all things business. And this year, I've also decided to incorporate some decor and decorating topics to the podcast. So you're going to see those sprinkled in throughout the year. But I hope that I have been inspiring you along with my guest hosts. Now, today, like I said, we are interviewing Christina from the Turn Leg. And I first discovered Christina when Connie from The Painted Photographer suggested that I interview her on my podcast. Then I polled all my audience on a live, and several of my viewers requested her as well. So I quickly headed on over to her Facebook page and discovered she had a love for a lot of the same things that I do. And I knew right away I wanted to have her on my podcast. So let's go ahead and give a big welcome to Christina. Let me grab her here. Hello. Thank you so
Hello.
much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, yes. I'm so excited that you're here. So, for my viewers and listeners that haven't had the opportunity to have found you, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm a former middle school science teacher. So
Oh,
yeah, and somehow no, there's quite a story behind it. But I found myself now I am an antique and vintage booth owner, and I do a lot of things. I started off with a huge love for antiques and salvage and junking and saving things and making them pretty. And I just kept finding things. And one thing led to another. And now I not only have a booth, but I teach other people how to make things pretty. And I also teach other booth owners. So I have retired from teaching and I
okay.
am now a booth owner full time. And I totally love what I do. I've been doing this since 2015. So it's been a while now. And, it's just one thing's led to another. And I think teaching kind of led into teaching others how to do what I do too. I'm also a mom to
Okay.
a wonderful daughter, and she inspires me every day.
Oh, that's sweet. How old is your daughter?
17.
Oh, I have a 17-year-old as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're dealing with the same things that I'm dealing with on a daily.
No,
Some
she's
days she
wonderful.
loves me, and some days she might not. So,
That's typical.
yeah. Awesome. Wow. Okay, so let's go back to you being a science teacher.
Yeah,
I'm like, what?
I know.
Science teaching and like upcycling and repurposing just seems so different.
It does. It does. Well, I don't know. I think there's a lot of similarities. The whole saving stuff and good for the earth
Yeah.
and all of that. You don't want things going to landfills. Obviously, that fits right in with what I
Yeah.
was doing. But I started my love of antiques from when I was little. My mom would, well, I probably wasn't in love with them when I was little. My mom would take me to antique stores all the time, and it wasn't always my favorite thing. So
Mhm.
luckily, she did that for me and had me appreciate things over time. But as a middle school science teacher, I was looking for really a crafty outlet, a way to relieve stress and
Mhm.
be creative. I'm a single mom, and so
Okay.
I wanted to have a pretty house. Who doesn't? Make things
Right.
pretty, all the
Yes.
things. And so you get hand-me-downs and you find things curbside, and then you're like, nothing matches. So I got into painting furniture, restoring furniture, and I soon outgrew my house. I had too much stuff. It was just everywhere. So I started hosting little barn sales. My mom had a barn-shaped garage, and I would host them annually, and they got really successful, and I was like, "Maybe I can actually, like, do this full time."
Yeah.
So I got a small antique booth, and, it's just grown since then. I now have up, like, over 2,000 square feet in my booth.
Yes. So the last podcast that I just finished up, um she had mentioned like do you have or what yeah, do you have like a big chunk of the store? D-
Yeah,
yeah, okay.
yeah, I
I
do.
yeah. Well, that's what she said. She's got like a huge chunk of the store and I'm like, "What?"
Yeah,
Like I said I went out to your page and I was like scrolling and looking, but I didn't do that much research to know. But
yeah.
so
I'm very lucky. That doesn't usually happen. It
no,
just
it does not,
I'm
no.
very lucky.
So tell me, so when did you like, I guess, how did it all, like, truly start? Like, you're a science teacher, and when did all of it like, did you first of all, when did you leave the science like, when did you make that decision?
Teaching.
Like, "I'm leaving."
So obviously COVID happened,
Yes, yeah,
and we were teaching online for pretty much the whole year, and just
yep,
so much had changed. And my daughter was in middle school at the time herself, and she really, it was just a horrible time. And I was like, I need to do something. I need something different. And I was like,
yeah,
maybe I could be home more with my daughter, and I could still keep doing what I love. Maybe it's feasible. So I was very lucky that I had already bought some of my years for teaching, so I could do early retirement. So this isn't like
oh,
I just quit my job. I have a small pension, so that's like,
yes,
as a single mom, I had, that, and I have healthcare. People always go, "Well, oh my gosh, no health." No, we have healthcare. You know,
okay,
things can always be improved in that area for teachers. I'm just saying, but anyways, but no, I had all that. So I mean, that really was helpful. And I'm like, I think I'm just gonna make the jump. I mean, I did plan on living with what I was making from my business. I also planned on what my small pension would be, figuring that in, and if I could afford things. I also had many like backup plans. Like I could be a waitress. I could do that if I needed to earn some more money. I could,
okay,
but I think it motivates you when you absolutely have to have it as an income. It's gonna motivate you as an entrepreneur to really, like, do everything you've gotta do to be successful. I mean, I had to do it, like, and I
yeah,
wanted it to be successful, so I
mhm,
really could I really was encouraged to do all the things to
right.
bring the money in.
Absolutely. That is exactly how I felt when I left my 9 to 5. So, I worked a full-time job as well, and then I was doing my YouTube, all my small business on the side. I have booths as well, and I finally was like, "I need to do this full time because I'm kind of at I plateau." Like, I was at a point where I could not do anymore with a full-time job, and I knew that I had to leave it in order to continue to make my business strong, but I was scared. I don't know if you felt that way at all. I was like, "Oh my gosh, what if?" There was
Yeah,
always those what ifs, and
absolutely.
yeah, so, like, I was like, "What if it doesn't work? What if this?" And, like, my friends are like, "Sonnet, if it doesn't work, you just get a different job. You're very hireable. It's not like you leave this job and you can't get another one." I'm like, "You're right. You're right. I have to remember that." And I left, and I completely agree with you. You work as hard as you can to be successful. So, I love
Yeah,
it.
lots of motivation there.
Yes, absolutely.
I think doing things scared becomes a good thing. Like now I look for the next scary because, and the thing that I feel I should be doing too, you kind of know, even though you're scared to death of it, it's the next step.
Yeah, absolutely. And, and I always look back at like, "And did I die? No."
Right. Right. Right.
So, I know. Well, that's awesome. So then you gave your notice right after, like, you got like, after COVID, you gave your notice and
Yeah.
you just went all in on your business. Did you have your booth at that point?
Oh
Or
yeah.
you did? Okay, so
Yeah.
it wasn't
So I
as big as
started
it is
in
now.
right. I started in 2015, and I started off with a really small 8 by 10 booth. And then I got a second booth, and then we got little bigger booths, and, I dabbled, and it got bigger and bigger, and I became a wholesaler for some other products, IOD and DIY paint, sweep pickings, all that. So I kind of had done those things. I also had started doing lives, so I was putting some of the things in place, even though I didn't realize it. And
Mhm.
COVID was also kind of great because it got my online store up and running too. So that
Yes.
was a blessing, even though I really wasn't thinking about doing that. But at the time, my antique mall closed,
Yes.
and they still needed the rent because they didn't own the building. So
Right.
so we were closed and we had to pay the rent, and I had a lot of booth space, so I had to figure out something. So thank goodness.
Right. So then, talk to me about that. Like, who did you build your online store? You said you're pretty tech savvy, so you did it all yourself then?
I went through, so, I'm a DIY paint retailer, as
Yes.
you are, and so
Yeah.
Debbie Beard,
Yeah.
creator of all, and she was encouraging her retailers at the time to, like, get online, and thank
Mhm.
goodness. And, she was saying Shopify was great too, so I went through Shopify, and it's been it was super simple. I think it took me 2 days to get my
Okay.
website up. I mean, not like there were some kinks we had to work out along the way, but,
Yeah.
like, I was up.
Yeah.
So that was just a relief. I mean, then you wait, but you still it was a relief. It was fairly simple, I should
Yeah.
say. Yeah.
Yeah. I know, and I think the people that are holding back with being online, you need to do it now. The sooner, faster, quicker, to be honest, because that really is like a lot of people shop online. I mean, and you expand your reach by all the states. You're not just local. So,
True. I think it's an advantage. I think there's some things to consider though before you do that. I think there are businesses that can be very successful and not be online, but it's definitely something to weigh your options. Like, try it and see. It's not
right.
as bad as you think. It's actually, I think, a lot easier.
Yeah.
Once you have to learn things. It's scary. Yeah, your first order is gonna scare you to death. Packaging it is going to be really scary, but, if you can find community and others who are doing it too, and luckily I had that.
Yeah.
I was, as I mentioned to you before we started this, I was in a business group with Connie, and we were in a business group with Jamie Ray Vintage, and she literally was showing people. They don't have the group anymore, unfortunately, but they were
Yeah.
showing people behind the scenes, like, "This is how we pack boxes. This
Mhm.
is how we," and that was just like, "Oh, okay." It's still scary, but at least I've seen it.
Right. Yes. Oh, I know. Um, I know I've heard quite a few people that were in Jamie Ray's group, and they talked about how they loved being in there. So they learned a lot. Connie's mentioned it several times too. So, but that's awesome that they did that. I mean, it's like ripping the band-aid off, like just
Well,
do it.
and I do that now too, and, I have a booth owners business group, and I've done shipping. Like, we focus in on little topics, whatever they want to learn about, whatever the interest is, to just try to help them succeed and be successful too. And it just gives, sometimes people just need that little, like, nudge. Like,
Mhm.
"You got this." Like, they know what they wanna do, but they just need a push.
Right. Mhm. I know I have a membership group too, and I always do challenges. I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna challenge you to do this." And, like, a lot of them look like they're green when I tell them what the challenge is, and then they're like,
Yeah.
"Okay." They're like, "Oh, thank God you pushed us to do it." So I totally agree. Like, you just have to, like, encourage. So,
Well, it'll give so much confidence too,
yes,
right?
yes,
Once they
yeah,
achieve that, they're like, "That was so hard, and you did it. So what
I
else can I
know.
do?"
I know, right? So I love that too, that you have a membership group as well. And I always talk about, I always love seeing other people succeed too. So anything I can do to help. But so before you had your business and, in 2015, I mean, in the back of your mind, did you ever think like, someday I want to have a small business?
No.
No.
No, absolutely not. So I come from, my family is a whole bunch of artists, and I mean, like, artists. My grandpa was commercial design, and, like, he could just, well, my mom's an artist too. Let me just give you an example. So my
Okay.
my wedding shower, it was, we were gonna have a garden party, and my mom's backyard, beautiful garden, and it was gonna pour. And so my grandpa and my mom the day before decided to paint a mural on the back of the garage so we could still have a garden for the garden party.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, they're just both like and the whole family, like crazy talented. And I am like, not so much. My grandpa would try to teach me like drawing and perspective when I would see him down in the basement in his art studio. Finally, one time he came up to my mom and he said, "Yeah, it's just not gonna work with this one." And she
Oh
just
my gosh.
so
But you
I'm not.
found your art in a different way. I mean, I still
Well,
consider you an artist by
I
what you
thank you.
do.
Thank you. I really that's like I love furniture. That is my, I guess, canvas. That's so hokey, but whatever. That is my thing. I think the first like way I got into art, it's so funny, is like I started when I got my own house, I started like painting walls and people would tell me, "Oh, that's not how you paint. You got to paint a wall this way and you got to paint." And I'm like, "No, I'm going to have fun." And so
Yeah,
with painting furniture and restoring furniture and everything I do now, I make sure I'm having fun. I make sure it's bringing me joy. And I just do it, and I do it scared if I don't know what I'm doing, and I try things, and it's
right.
been just absolutely wonderful.
Good. I know you talked about going live and doing lives, and one
Mhm.
thing my husband sometimes I go on a live and I've never tried what I'm going to show everybody,
Yeah.
and my husband's like, "You're just gonna go live? You've never done it. What if it fails?" I'm like, "It fails then." I'm like, "They're gonna see me, like, be my authentic self and just," I'm like, "It is what it is." So, and a
And
couple
good for
times
you.
yeah, and sometimes
Yeah.
I'm like, "Ooh, I should have probably maybe did a little dabbling," but oh well.
I think it makes you relatable, right? It makes
Yeah.
people go, "Oh, this person's real." Like, it doesn't always work out,
Yes.
and that's good. I do the same thing with my weekly lives.
Yeah. So what day do you go live?
I go live on Mondays on Facebook at 8:30 Eastern. I know it's early. I know it's early, and I know there's a time change,
Yes.
but
So is that 8:30 AM or PM?
AM.
AM.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I'm the morning
Um,
girl. Yeah.
okay. Wow.
Yeah.
I might be able to catch one.
All right. We'd love to have you pop in sometime if,
Yeah.
over coffee or something.
Right.
Yeah.
And I should say, you guys, I didn't realize she's a Midwesterner like I am, and she's in Michigan. So I assumed, which I should not have done, that she was on Central Time. So we had a time change or a time zone
No,
problem.
not a problem. I'm just glad everything's okay. I was
Yeah.
worried. I was a little worried.
Oh, yeah. Nope. I'm okay. I'm here.
Good,
I'm still breathing. So,
good.
well, let's dive in to find out. I want to know, like, how did you come up with your name, The Turned Leg?
That's probably one of the hardest things I think in starting a business is finding a good name.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time. And finally, there was one moment I was just like sitting around looking at all the things I was painting and working on. And I noticed they all had turned legs. They were fancy and swoopy and awesome. And usually,
Yes.
when I was looking for pieces, those are the pieces I was drawn to. So I liked the name there, but I also was thinking about the word turned, and turned is to change or
Mhm.
improve in my mind. That's how I was seeing it. So I was like, it kind of fits. Turned leg, we're turning things around, we're changing things, we're making them pretty again. And so I went with it.
I love it. Great job. I
Thank
know
you.
it's amazing how little things like there's one little bit of inspiration. You see something and then you start brainstorming and it just all comes together. So good. So now 2015, you decide you want a creative outlet. I mean, how did you first really get into then? Like, how did you know, like, I am going to start thrifting or picking pieces and upcycling? I know you mentioned like doing it for your home, but is that truly you were doing it for yourself? And
That's
then,
truly it. I want to. I shouldn't. I feel like I have to say this, but I'm not trying to pat myself on the back. But I seriously have a superpower for finding like curbside rescues, which, in case you guys don't know, are like items on the curb, like trash items. And I find a lot of good stuff. Like I
Mhm.
really do. So I had this inventory that was just bursting at the seams. I really wasn't paying for most things. Most things were free and I felt they needed to be pretty and they needed
Yeah.
homes and my home couldn't hold any more stuff. So I started these barn sales because I'm a science teacher, a little bit of a planner, a little
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure things would work. I don't want to just go into an antique booth. Plus, I really didn't know like what staging entails.
Right.
There's so many aspects. I wanted to like kind of practice before I did anything. And so my mom at the time lived in a historical home neighborhood, and they had these garage sales once a year that were, they still are epic. The Ford Historical Homes in Dearborn, Michigan, epic
Right.
garage sales. And she had a barn shaped garage. So we called them the barn sales. And I thought I would try it out. And I transformed the garage, I staged, I set up. It was like a store. And I
Oh,
promoted, I started social media, all the things. And we had a lot of people that showed up, which was wonderful. And I sold a lot of stuff, which was even better. And I was like, I kind of like this. I started an
mhm.
email list, like I started a lot of the things, even if it was a sheet of paper.
Yeah.
But I was just gonna do this. And I was like, well, anytime I'm anywhere, I can tell these people and maybe they'll come again. So
Yes.
we did that for I think 2 years. And then I was like, I have to do this because I think I loved the creation of the whole barn at the time. And then I really enjoyed finding my pieces homes. I still, and even to
Yes.
this day, I'm extremely nervous when I meet customers and they realize like I did them. A lot of times I would pretend it was someone else's. Oh yeah, yeah, booth 134. She's great. Yep. But now more people know me and I'm like, "Ah," but I still get nervous. I think it's just, I don't know. I don't know what it is, the nerves. I wish those would go away, but I get nervous about my pieces in front of people.
Aw.
But, yeah, the barn sale started, and then I started looking for antique booths, and I visited all the, antique malls near me and, got as much information as I could. I asked a bunch of questions, and it just worked out, and I so lucky that the one antique mall I decided to go with is, like, extremely close to my house.
Okay.
And filled with amazing people, because if I hadn't met those dealers, I wouldn't be in business today because they completely welcomed me and I didn't have like it wasn't an instant beautiful booth. I thought it was great. But like the booth was mostly furniture, which I'm sure it doesn't make the rent really.
Right. Mm.
Malls sell. So a lot of people would come in and give me some suggestions, and there still are a lot of expert booth owners from Plaza Antiques, and a lot of times they're like, "Oh, sure, thanks, I appreciate it," and I do whatever I want, and then, like, I go, "Wait a minute, you know that thing you said? I'm gonna do that, yeah." So, they helped me so much. I think that's so important for
Oh,
booth owners, is
yes.
you have to have the help because there's no way you can do all the things and do them
Mhm.
successfully.
Right. Absolutely. I know even, like, I can totally relate with that because I currently have 3 booths and I'm now downsizing to 2. There was one that just no matter what, it just never it was never as successful as the other 2, and I just held on for so long, and I should have let it go, much quicker. But yes, I'm now down to 2 booths, but they are definitely in 2 different, areas, different clientele, and I also realized by having 2 versus 3, you have more time to be there because you definitely have to fluff your booth and rearrange and, restock and do all the things, because I mean, people are surprised, but a lot of same customers will go through and see those same things over and over if you're not moving stuff around. So, I'm sure that you talk about that,
Oh,
moving.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I do it all the time. I mean, I'm there all the time, and what's really nice is, like I said, my mall, I'm very lucky. They'll text me like, "Hey, that big thing sold and, you might wanna come."
Yeah.
And because I'm so close, I tell them, "Just, call me. If I can't come, I won't." But
Right.
you want it looking nice, and it's amazing the power of like, you move one thing, and they're like, "It's all new."
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's good.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree completely, and it takes a little time, but it's gonna be worth it, and it's gonna show in your sales, definitely, I think.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
yeah. So let's talk about the very first piece, if you can remember back to the very first piece you ever upcycled. How did it turn out, and do you still own it? Because you talked about doing stuff for yourself.
Yeah, and I probably should preface by saying, pieces I started with probably weren't upcycles initially, because I really didn't when I started redoing stuff, I really didn't even, like, know that that was a thing.
Okay.
There wasn't Pinterest and there wasn't all this, so we weren't given all this. But seriously, when I was probably 9 or 10, we're talking, I found a chair and I don't remember if I got it free or I paid very little at a garage sale. But I found a wood chair and it wasn't anything particular. It was like an old dining room chair that had some carving on the back. And it was painted like probably 8 coats of paint. And I was like, I'm gonna strip it. And so my mom's like, okay. Yeah, so she told me kinda how there wasn't YouTube, so you couldn't she's like, "Okay,
Oh my
I'll
God.
get you some stuff, and I'll show you what I know," and my grandpa knew how to do some stuff too in the family, and so they let me and I worked on this thing, and it stripped like a bazillion coats of paint off of it, but I saved that chair, and it wasn't the greatest. What's really funny is one of the main supports of the back of the chair was totally broken, but, like, that wasn't in my I wasn't even thinking about it as a kid, like, it was just a beautiful chair. I'm sure no
Right.
one could sit in it, but I was gonna spend hours on it, so we did, and we got it all fixed. It turned out pretty good for your first stripping attempt with so much paint. There were still
Yeah.
little flakes of paint, but that's okay. My mom, like, let me put my dolls on it and all the things, and we kept it for a really long time. So, I've always had the passion for old things and making them pretty. I remember one of my allowances, I bought, like, a huge steamer trunk just because I thought it was the coolest thing of all times. It opened up like a wardrobe. It had hanging spots and drawers, and everyone needed one. She's like, "What are you gonna do with it?" I
What
so
did you do with it?
I just kept it in my room. I thought it was the coolest thing. I put clothes in it, I've
I love
always
it.
had, like, my own little style and thing. I found one lady one time gave me brownie cameras at an estate sale, 2 of them with flashes and all the stuff. And I remember we went and got film for them, and I took pictures with that brownie camera for, like, the longest it was the coolest thing ever. So,
Right.
I just like, I truly have a love for old stuff. And I
I love
just
it.
wanna make sure everyone knows, like, how great it is and that you don't have keep putting some on the curb because my business would be gone without you, but other than that, there's so much you can do, and it has so much life left. I don't know about the chair,
Mhm.
though, thing, but it made me happy.
Yes. Well, I am so glad you don't live in Wisconsin because I am like the curbside finder here.
Good, good, you're part of my junk army now. I'll get you a
I know.
pin.
Yes.
Yeah, we have pins.
Oh, you do?
We do, we have shirts too. I'll hook you up.
Okay. That's awesome because
Yeah,
well, and everyone, like, when I showcase it on my channel, like, when I find, like, all these curbside finds too, they're like, not everybody or different areas don't all put stuff out to the curb, and then if they do, it's truly junk. So, they're like, "We cannot believe people throw stuff away like that." I'm like, "This is a disposable country." It truly is. Like, I think, like, everybody things are just so disposable. We'll just throw it away and get something new. So, I love saving those pieces because a lot of that new stuff is truly the junk. It's all that particle board and the old furniture is like true wood and so
yeah.
but where do you typically find your inspiration for your projects? So when you find a piece, do you know right away like cuz sometimes I know right away like what I want to do with
Yeah.
it. Do you or do you have to look at it and be inspired?
Sometimes. Sometimes, as you mentioned, like, with lives and stuff, sometimes I literally will bring the piece up for a live and, like, have no clue what I'm doing. And I'll
Okay.
just kinda figure it out while I'm live. And other times it comes from the weirdest place. One of my favorite pieces that I painted, my mom and I were literally sitting eating ice cream, and there were cars parked in the parking lot where we could see out like, we were in a car eating ice cream, it was cold, and we could see these cars, and the color of the cars parked together was, like, perfect. It was just, like, the perfect color combination, and we were talking about it, and I'm like, "I know exactly what I'm gonna do with that piece now." And so
Yeah.
I did something wild, crazy, boho. It's almost, like a desert color scheme. It was just, all
Mhm.
the Debbie's colors, and I loved it, and you never know. I just go with whatever inspires me at the moment, and I try not to worry too much about it. When I
Right.
was first painting and starting stuff, my first big painted piece was all white. Don't tell anyone. If you like white, it's fine. I'm no judgment, but I'm a color girl, and I really
Yeah.
didn't even know that. But I
Yeah.
had to take the dark mahogany piece and make it all white. What?
Right. Yeah.
So
Um, so are you a blender? Like, are you
oh,
really
yeah.
like okay.
I do well,
I
I do
I
everything.
Oh, I'm trying to perfect blending. Connie's working with me, and Tara, my friend Tara, they're working with me. I'm
Girl,
trying to
it's
perfect this blending.
you don't need to perfect it. Seriously, it's so I know, because I was you. Like I get this. I totally get this. But since Debbie brought out those brushes,
Oh, I know.
they're key. A little bit of water, her paintbrush, and good go. I think so many times though, it's our brain that stops us from doing it. I
Mhm.
had a hat, that I got from Cara Lockwood when I was first starting out. Cara's Color Me Vintage. She's a DIY paint retailer a while ago. I think she's still I'm not sure. But, it says artist. And, like, I would seriously put the hat on because remember, I was told for so many years I was not an artist. I mean, not in a bad way. They
Yeah.
loved me, but, so I literally would put the hat on to paint, to, like, help because I think that's we get in front of ourselves so much.
Mhm.
So,
I
you could
know.
totally do it. I'll come visit with you. I'll hook you up.
That sounds great.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not that hard. You got this.
Yeah. No, I've done it a couple times and I'm like, I always feel like I might overwork it or something. I don't know. But I'm dabbling and playing around. So, but I
Good.
love Debbie's paints for that purpose. So,
Absolutely. Put on music, it helps.
okay.
Find
Good
your
tip.
groove. Yeah.
So, how would you describe your own personal style then when it comes to DIY and upcycled pieces? It sounds like
So, I did a
colorful.
style quiz because I
Oh, you
really
did.
had no clue because I always feel I'm extremely split personality. Um, and it pretty much came back that I was a gaudy naturalistic, which I have no idea if that's even a style, but
A
let
gaudy
me explain it.
naturalistic.
Let me explain it. So I like natural elements, like, flowers, and I like the greens and the browns and the blues and I like I have a junk garden. I mean, it's all of those things. I like the outside in, all of that concept, but I also really like gold and gaudy, like over the top. Although if it's like gold and gaudy with flowers, it's even better. So
Mhm.
it sounds very scattered, and perhaps I am, but it makes fun when I'm doing my booth because I can really do like little sections. I can do like the rusty, crusty junk. And I mean, I love that. Like an old man garage. I'm there. I'm for it. It's perfect, all of that. But then I can also do this, like, extreme Hollywood glam and all of the gold and the glitz, and somehow, because I love it all, I don't know, but I think it all goes together. I
Yeah.
think the key is the person. You can put whatever you want in your home or your booth, but, like, it has to fit you. Otherwise, it's not gonna match.
Right. Awesome. I love it. Okay, so what was it called again? What
Um, Gaudy naturalistic
gaudy
is what I
natural.
was told. It was
That's
some
awesome.
online quiz. I don't even remember where it was, but yeah.
Oh,
We were
I
supposed to
love
take a
it.
style quiz as booth owners to find out more about ourselves, and yeah.
Hmm,
I'm like,
that's
"Okay."
interesting. I should probably take it.
If I
I call
find it.
myself colorful. Like
Yeah.
I love color.
Mhm.
I do like, some neutrals too, because you always have to incorporate you can't have too much well, you can have a lot of color, but you need to balance too. But
Absolutely.
yeah. So, let's talk about your creative process from finding a piece to actually finishing it. So now that we know what kind of style you have, let's let's dive into how your whole creative process.
Yeah, so, I guess I should talk about an ideal day. An ideal day would literally be I pick up a curbside treasure, and it's nice, and I can work on it immediately and paint
Okay.
it and get it into my booth within 2 days. I'm a quick processor of stuff usually. I do like to have a little bit of inventory just on backlog just to be safe when things are selling and really going well. But that is my ideal. And I don't necessarily like wait for, as I said, I don't really always wait for inspiration. A lot of times, and it depends what paint you're using too, but like with Debbie's paint, you
Mhm.
can pretend blend on the first coat because you need a base coat because when you add the other coats and you add too much water, it can come off and stuff
Yeah.
and it not look as pretty. And my recommendations always have a base coat. But like why not play in the base coat? Why not try colors you've never tried together? Why not instead of like doing a test board or something like that, literally I'll play on the piece and then I'll go, okay, well, for the second coat, which is the pretty coat, then I'm just going to use these colors because that worked best. So a lot of times I will just play on the piece and then see what works and go from
Wow,
there.
I love it. Great
Yeah.
idea.
It works really well. You definitely should try it. I mean, obviously, I use, Pinterest and all of that. I'm very visual, so I need to, like, walk around and see stuff, even if it's totally unrelated to what I'm doing, like the
Right.
cars in the parking lot.
Exactly. I know, like, I'll see something, and then all of a sudden it will just trigger something, and then I'm like, "Okay, that's what I'm gonna do." I unfortunately have a large stash of stuff, and I'm trying to, narrow it down. So, but I love having a lot of stuff that I can go in, and I like to upcycle smalls. And so I am like, I look around and I'm like, okay, what am I going to grab today? And then I grab like 5 pieces or 6 pieces, bring them in. And then I just like, like that first piece typically like inspires me how I try to like make them all very not similar, but like work together so I can put them all in a vignette together. That's my ultimate purpose of, and so yeah, but that's my creative process, but I like yours too.
Well, that's wonderful, though. I'm not good at little tiny stuff, so yay, we need
Oh,
more of you.
oh yeah. I that's one thing. Well, so you talked about adding smalls to your booth then. So you just like are you a thrifter then that you go out and thrift smalls to put into your booth or what happens with the
Yeah,
smalls then?
I mean, I find them. Sometimes I do find them curbside. No, I do, the flea market circuits. I do church rummage sales. I all the things to find smalls to put into my booth. Estate sales. I've purchased like estates in the past to
Cool.
help me with my space. Friends, family donations, and things like that. And I dabble in small crafts too every once in a while. It's just not it doesn't bring me as much joy. If there's something like right now I've been kind of doing, I call them altered book journals, not junk journals, because mine start with an old book anyways. But if something really sparks my interest, I'm totally gonna try it.
Right.
Because that's just how I am. Like if I want to do it, I'm gonna try it. And I'll usually take people along. So there's been things I have done, but I would never call I don't know. I don't think of myself as a small crafter. And yeah, I do sell things in my booth though that I make, and I do, so it's good too.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, good. So what tools or supplies could you just never live without?
The first one might surprise you, and that is Ziploc bags. Sorry for the earth and all of that, but, Ziploc bags are key for keeping me organized, not losing my hardware, putting my brushes in them in between coats. I mean, like, I am the Ziploc bag queen. They are in my van at all times. Ziploc bags. I also have really loved power tools. I'm proud of myself. Over the years, I didn't come from a house where anyone told me how to use many power tools, maybe a drill. That was about it. And so I love like I have my orbital sander now, I have a chop
Mhm.
saw, my nail gun is one of my favorite things for my booth space. And those tools just make things so much easier. Absolutely for doing what I do.
Mhm. Oh, absolutely. I couldn't agree more with you. Also have a huge stash of Ziploc bags. They are good. But yes, they are probably not the best for the earth, like you said. So,
I try to reuse them a few times if I can.
I know, like, with the paintbrushes, I put one paintbrush over here, and then I put another one over here, and then one in the middle. Yes, so yes, I totally agree with you. Um, so you talk a lot about painting. Do you do like decoupage too, or do you use? I mean, I know you talked about IOD, so you're using transfers. So,
Yep.
what do you love? Like, what products do you love to work with?
I my original goal in life was to sell milk paint. So
Oh,
DIY paint really caught me off guard, but it
okay.
just so I sell milk paint now. I sell Sweet Pickins milk paint and I love the chip, but the chippy texture you can get, but I couldn't figure that out for like the longest time. And when I started my business, there were very few people sharing what they were doing. It was like a secret and you couldn't find out unless you paid a lot of money for classes. And even then, you might not learn everything.
Right.
So I was not. I had a lot of epic fails in the beginning. I think everyone does when you start out. And I got into DIY paint. So I really like the paints. Obviously, then you always want to find out how to make things pretty. Since I'm not I'm just not comfortable saying I'm an artist as far as like I can't just paint roses on something.
Yeah.
Like I'm no Connie at all.
I know.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I know because I'm like that too. Not that you're not like Connie, but
No, I am. Trust me, I'm not like that. But she's amazing. So it just doesn't come naturally to me. So
Yeah.
obviously I've always been looking for other things to help. I got into stencils initially. And I upgraded to JRV stencils and I do decoupage a little bit. Decoupage has been hard for me. It was something I literally learned live as a retailer. I really wanted to try it. I use it for certain things, but it's something that's I really work at. Obviously the iron technique works really well. But IOD too is now like then I found IOD and I'm like, this is like this also these magical projects or these magical products that you can have that can elevate what you're doing. I mean, the paint inlays and the transfers and some of them look hand painted. So now I kind of use them all as an arsenal for the projects because when you get a project, you never know what it's going to need, So it's good to always be prepared and stocked with all the stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So have you perfected Sweet Pickins? I need to find that out. Have you perfected the milk paint now?
I think so. And
Okay.
what I've learned from Sweet Pickins milk paint and pretty much all milk paint is the reason why I wasn't successful in the beginning is I'm kind of a control freak a little bit. And I had an idea in my head and I wanted it to turn out this way. And over the years, I think one of the best gifts I've given myself is the ability to just, let it evolve. Because with Sweet Pickins milk paint, it sometimes will behave and do exactly what you want. And sometimes it goes sideways. But those sideways projects are when sometimes you get your best work because it gets you out of your comfort zone. And it really will do something you would have never created. And it can be a masterpiece by that. So I just let the milk paint do its thing. A lot of times I won't like use the extra bond. I don't fight it. I just, okay, we're going to do this and let's just see what happens.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting that you said that. So I'm on a live. I just have to tell you my recent experience because I'm fine. I felt like I was finally understanding the milk paint as well. And so I was trying the new JRV
So,
bespoke. Yeah.
mhm,
And in Hollandaise, that
mhm.
yellow.
The
Okay, so
yellow,
I'm painting it and it's going on beautifully. I zap it a little bit with the heat gun because I want it just in my mind.
a little
This
bit.
I just wanted a little crackle, you know what I mean? And next thing you know, like, it started to, like, chipping and, like, all this chippiness and everyone on my live, they could totally tell. It was not what I envisioned. And so and they're like, "Embrace it, Sonnet, just embrace it." I'm like, "I'm trying to embrace it, you guys." But it's not what so long story short, after the live, we never finished what I was gonna do with it. I had to, like, sleep on this one. So what are your suggestions when you get so much chippy goodness? Like, I mean, I like a little chippiness, but I was contemplating putting in another layer of a different color and hopefully having some chippiness and have that hollandaise come out through it too.
So, my opinions, the
Yeah.
keys to milk paint is if you're using a raw wood or a dried out wood, like left in the barn that doesn't have a lot of shine or a lot of finish, it's gonna be magic. Because
Okay.
anywhere there's a shine, it's gonna chip off.
Okay.
A lot of times too, they'll say if you have a painted surface from before, it'll work. The problem is that's not always true because you don't know what they finished it with. So you can
Right.
always kick it down with like 220 grit sandpaper so that
Okay.
you have more like grain or something it can grip to.
Yeah.
But like I've done that and it's still all chipped off. So just keep that in your mind that it still might not always work. But with another good tip with Sweet Pickins milk paint is you can do a base coat with DIY clay. Don't seal it
Okay.
and that baby will stick. And then you can also control if let's see, you put it on the milk paint on whatever, even if you're
Yeah.
not using DIY, you put it on and you wait for it to dry and you're always waiting for it to chip. And it's like the watch pot and it takes forever. And you finally just have to leave the room and come back. And then you come back, and there's chipping, but not as much as you want. A tip is when you put on your second coat of Sweet Pickins milk paint, you can always use DIY clear wax or Sweet Pickins hemp oil in between the layers to
Yeah.
force the chipping to occur. Also, when
Oh,
you do your final sealer, keep in mind water, liquid of any sort is going to reactivate your milk paint and make it chip more. So if you've got your piece, 2 coats, and it's like perfect, you wax that baby. because
Okay.
it's not a liquid. If you put a liquid top coat, it can reactivate it, and it might be a couple of days, you might still have a little bit of chipping.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so
Good
people are like,
tips.
"What? What?"
That's awesome. Well,
Well, it
good.
wasn't always that easy. Like, the
Oh,
first piece I painted, I was so proud of Sweet Pickins milk paint. I didn't do it live, but I pulled my mom over to paint, like, a queen size bed, and I'm like, Mom, you gotta see this great Sweet Pickins milk paint. It's the best." We painted, like, all afternoon, queen size headboard, footboard, rails, all the things. We went in for lunch, we came out, all the paint was on the ground.
no way. Oh my gosh.
I'm like, "Okay." So, but, it worked out.
Mhm.
I then used some Extra Bond. It sounds kinda gross, but it worked out great. I used some of the chippy paint, it mixed in with the regular paint, so it was a real grungy, like, over-painted piece. It had been, painted with a bunch of coat. It turned out great, and it sold at the barn sale. So it
Awesome.
works out, and I would have never done a piece like that.
So, talking about the chippy crackly, so Connie from the Paint a Photographer, she just did this piece and it was her first time using the she used the vintage ironstone, that color on her piece, I
Mhm.
think. And she sends me a photo and she's like, I feel like if I touch it, it's all gonna fall off, but it's like the perfect look. And so a bunch of people on her page, she pulled them because she's like, I go, I don't know, maybe like spray a sealer on. I'm not
Mhm.
even no, because that's what everybody told her to do.
I don't know, 'cause it's liquid. It is like spray sealers. So,
Yeah.
I mean, there are always people smarter than me, so, perhaps some of you have tried this and it has worked, but, wax is always best if you want it to stay exactly how it is.
Okay.
It's always best because it's not gonna reactivate the milk paint, but,
Okay.
hopefully it worked for her.
I know, I haven't followed up with her. It was so beautiful though, you should have saw it, like, she had, like, close-up shots because she is a photographer, that's what she loves to do, so she had these amazing shots of it, and I'm like, "Oh gosh." I was doing something, and I'm like as she's sending me play-by-play about it, and she's like, "I'm asking because I don't want to." This is like it was a piece she was keeping for herself too, I'm
Oh,
like, "I
yeah,
don't know what
yeah.
to tell you, I'm sorry." But I do have exciting news though about Sweet Pickens.
Ooh,
Sasha, the owner, she
yeah,
is going to be a speaker at my creative retreat that I'm hosting in October.
awesome.
So I'm super
Congrats.
excited.
Well, she'll tell
Um,
you everything then. You'll get all the
yes,
secrets.
I hope so. I would no, that's why I asked her. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Hold her in the back room, like, "Give me all your secrets."
I know, tell me more. But,
She's amazing.
yeah, she is, and I love her style too. So, yeah, so I'm excited about that. But yes, I feel like so many people are afraid of sweet pickings. So that's why I was asking you so many questions since it sounded like you kind of had it wrapped around your finger. So,
I wish. I mean, like, I've still had pieces where it's all, and, it just happens, and I'm proud of them because some of them turned out to be the coolest, seriously. But I
yeah.
do have tutorials, they're on YouTube too with everything
Oh,
I've
good.
learned. So,
Yes.
if people need some help too, I can't say sweet pickings it can sometimes be a little tricky, but you just have to embrace it.
I know. Well, that's awesome that I think I did follow you now on YouTube as well. So, good. I'm excited. Do you put out a video every week or how do you have a schedule?
Yeah, so I put out videos usually every Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern, and I have videos on thrifting, I have videos on being a booth owner and all the behind the scenes. I also have how-to videos, I have junk garden videos, I have a whole bunch of stuff. So there's always
Awesome.
something going on over there.
Something for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. So when you were first starting out, what were some of your biggest challenges that you faced starting out?
I think fear was perhaps, like, the biggest thing. A lot of times I always knew, if you look back now, I knew the next step for what I should do, but it was, like, really pulling the trigger on it and doing it. I met Debbie Beard at an event in Ohio, and, at the time, I was really encouraged to do, because I wasn't doing any lives at the time. And they were
Mhm.
like, "You really should do lives, like, really?" And I was like, "Eh." My daughter had come with me to the event, and after that whole encounter, she's like, "Ma, you got to do it. Like, here's the camera. We're going live now." So she and I did the first live. We were in Zanesville, Ohio, and it was just like me introducing myself, like, because Debbie said you can't do lives on the DIY paint channel until you've done lives, and I hadn't done any lives. I hadn't even gone live on Instagram for 10 seconds. So my daughter and I did a live, and pretty much she's been rooting me on ever. I mean, she's just amazing. So
Mhm.
she's my true inspiration. She just, you got to do this. And even for this today, I told her about this. She's like, "That's so awesome. You're going to be fabulous." So,
Aw.
but when you got your kid saying like, "You got to do this," moms have to do it.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Oh, I love it. And yes, you are gonna be awesome today. You are awesome today.
Thank you.
Um, so what, advice would you give somebody who is just starting out and upcycling, but they just feel very overwhelmed? I mean, what advice would you give them?
Um, I think there's a lot of things that they can do to help themselves. I mean, getting a community, finding some people that are doing what they do, obviously that will help. But I think the thing too that'll stop most people from the next step is fear and
Mhm.
overwhelm. I mean, it's why
Right.
most booths fail and why most booth owners are not successful. And I think one bit of advice is that whole getting out of your comfort zone. I mean, everyone really, if you sit quiet with yourself enough, you know your next step of what you really should do, but
Mhm.
you're just too scared. You need the nudge. So I always say, like, the best advice I was given was do it scared.
Right.
Yeah.
I love it.
So
Yes.
that's what I'd say. Try it. It's like you said, it's not going to kill you. Did you die?
Did you die? I know, I'm like,
Yeah.
"Did you die?" No,
But
I always say that to myself. "You didn't
But I
die,
think
you can."
another thing is that whole, like, they even the people who think they're working towards their goal, and it might appear to them they are, they might be just, like, overthinking it, and they might be trying to be perfect, and you don't need to, like, just do it.
Mhm.
Like, who
Mhm.
cares? You don't need a logo, you don't need all you just need to do it. Turn on the camera
Right.
or whatever you wanna do, start the business, get on the wait list, and start.
Right. Absolutely. Wow. You have, this hour or, like, we're almost at an hour, jam-packed full of good stuff. I'll have
Oh,
to have you
thank you.
on a second time so we can talk more.
Would be my
Um,
pleasure.
yeah.
Anytime.
So, yeah.
I've enjoyed meeting you. I've kinda just heard about you, like, legendary in circles.
Oh,
So it's
legendary.
seriously, you're, like, everywhere, girl.
I
Oh,
try.
it's an honor to officially meet you.
Oh, well, thanks. But yeah, it was a great conversation. And yeah, so where can my viewers find you to be inspired? And you talked about going live. So do you go live just on
Yep.
Facebook?
Yeah, right now I'm live on just Facebook, and that's at 8:30 on Mondays Eastern, but, always check and find out. You can always head over to my website, shoptheturnedleg.com, and get on my mailing list to find out everything I'm doing. I'm on YouTube, I'm on Instagram, TikTok, all the things, and I have a booth at Plaza Antiques and Collectibles Mall in Lincoln Park, Michigan.
Okay. Awesome. Well, it was such a pleasure to have you on the podcast today. And I just love that my viewers, truly had the opportunity to meet you and then see how talented you truly are. I'm inspired. So I'm going to go watch some of the videos and on your blending. And I'm just
Yeah,
going to put some music on and I'm going to blend away.
well, send me
Um,
pictures
I will,
of
and
what you
tell
do.
me, what is your is it the smoothie? Is that your favorite blending brush, or what one would you recommend from Debbie's?
Yeah, I like the smoothie and the little dipper. I'm, like, looking because my brushes are over my head, but, like, the
Yep.
little dipper and the smoothie are although I have what I call Junker's elbow, so their other brushes can be a bit heavy for me with paint, so I always like smaller, little lighter brushes than most
Okay.
people.
Okay, good tip. All
Mhm.
right, well, thank you. I'm gonna grab those, and I have a piece that is in my well, this is funny. I have a piece in my living room ready to go, but I'm like, I have been looking at it, and it's changed its course in my mind several times, so I might be playing with that one,
Good,
but
good.
yeah.
Have
All right.
fun.
Thanks.
Thank
So,
you.
you guys, in next week's episode, we're going to be talking about something every content creator and small business owner faces at some point: how to deal with keyboard warriors and online negativity. If you've ever received a negative comment and it really stung, then that's going to be an episode you'll want to give a listen. So, mark it on your calendar. That's what we'll be chatting about next week. And you guys, if you are listening on any of the podcast platforms, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. If you're watching today on YouTube, give me a thumbs up and definitely hit that subscribe button. We need to grow the podcast. And let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking about the podcast. And then you can find me on all the social platforms like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I'm on them all. All right. And you guys have yourselves a wonderful day. And I hope you enjoyed today's episode. We'll see you next week. Bye.